the first question. So the first question, where it gives you 2 points and it asks you to find the slope, it is going to be, there's going to be 6 questions like this. So it's really important that we remember how to find the slope given 2 points. How do we do that? So you're going to subtract the y's and you're going to subtract the x. Remember, slope is rise over run. What is that? So you would do, you could either put 1 point above the other, such as this, so that when you see it one on top of the other, you can actually just subtract your y's. The biggest mistake people make, you're going to do -8 minus 3 or 3 minus -8. But if you do 3 minus -8, you have to go in the same order, -2 minus -1. Exactly. So with this one, we do, the y's would be 3 minus -8 over -2 minus -1. And the 2 minuses that are next to each other become a plus. 3 plus 8 is 11. -2 plus 1 is -1. So what is your slope? -11. So the next group of questions, so just as a reminder, those types of questions, there are 6 questions like this. Please remember, the biggest mistakes we make, number 1, we forget to subtract y's and put them in the numerator and the x's in the denominator. We flip it and we put x on top and y on the bottom. That would be wrong. So please keep an eye on that mistake. The second mistake, when you subtract and then it's a negative, you minus that negative, it becomes a positive. The third mistake, when you are subtracting the left y minus the right y, and then you go to do the x's, sometimes we do the right minus the left. You switch the order, so be careful with that. There are 3 questions that are like number 2. It's asking you to find 5 solutions. These 5 solutions that it's asking for must be written as an ordered pair or as 5 ordered pairs. Are there any specific values that I have to pick for x? No, you could choose whatever you want. Because when you choose your x values, if yours are different than mine, what is going to be the same?
Rate of change your y's.
Your y values will be different, but the rate of change is the same because you're doing the same thing to different numbers. In this example, you are making it the negative of x and adding 2. So whatever values you choose for your x values, your y values are going to be related in the same way as my y values to my x values. Pretty simply stated, the line that you get when you plot your points is exactly the same line that I get. So if you choose values, let's say we chose -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Just be very careful when you go to substitute values in, because if you look at this question, if you're looking at the table of values, it says y equals -x, negative of x plus 2. If I'm plugging -2 in there, what happens?
0.
No. What happens when I say the negative of -2? That's right. So if you plug in a negative to an expression that it says -x, you're really doing the negative of the -2, which becomes +2 plus 2, which is 4. So this would be 1 point. If you're going to plug in -1, you're going to say y equals the negative of x plus 2, where x is -1. Once more, this becomes a plus, and that's a 3, -1 comma 3. 0 plus 2 is just 2, so 0 comma 2. -1 plus 2 is 1, 1 comma 1. And then negative of 2 plus 2 is 0, so 2 comma 0. These would be 5 points, 5 solutions to my graph. Then from there, and when I go to plot them, your points and my points will graph the same line. Negative 2 comma 4, negative 1 comma 3, 0 comma 2, 1 comma 1, and 2 comma 0. The line that I get and the line that you get, even if you chose different x values, will be the same. Numbers 3, 4, and 5. There are 4 questions like these that you see up here. They ask you to graph the line on the coordinate grid. Well, they give you the slope and they give you the y-intercept. How do I graph this?
So you graph it on the y, you put a dot on 4.
That's right.
On the y.
That's right. Your y-intercept is what letter that we say? The b, correct? And the slope is the m. And if you remember y equals mx plus b, in this expression up there, the slope is negative 2/3. The slope is negative 2/3, and the y-intercept is 4. So exactly like Blake just said, you begin at 4 on the y-axis. If the y-intercept is 4, it means you're going to go to the y-axis to 4, and that's where you begin. What do you do after that?
You go down 2 into the right 3.
Very good. Your slope is negative 2/3. That means you're going to go down 2 units, and you're going to go to the right 3, and then you put your dot there. So down 2 over 1, 2, 3, and that's your point. You could put more down if you wanted. 1, 2, 3. You only really need 2 points to connect and make a line. That's your line.
So how many of these are those?
The biggest mistake I see people make with this is that if the slope is negative, they think you go down and to the left. That actually counterdoes the negativity. Negative slope just means you go down, but you always run to the right. Positive slope means you go up, but you always run to the right. And when you have a slope that's a whole number, like number 4 here, then you have to make sure you remember that a whole number has what denominator?
1.
It has 1. So the slope of 2 in this example is really 2 over 1. And the y-intercept is negative 2. So where do I begin?
Negative 2.
On where?
The y-axis.
So you begin at negative 2. That's your point of beginning.
You go up 1, right?
You go up
2.
2. Your rise is the numerator. You go up 2 to the right 1. So you're going to go up 2, 1, 2 to the right 1. Up 2 to the right 1. Connect your dots. And there's your line. Looking at this one, what is the difference between the way numbers 3 and 4 are written and the way number 5 is written?
That's an actual fraction.
Well, so is number 3, right?
It has an X next to it.
Okay. In what form is number 5 written in? Slope-intercept form. They're not saying, hey, the slope is this and the y-intercept is this. They're inferring it by the way that it's written.
Negative 3.
So if I know it's y equals negative 1/4 x minus 3, what can I identify just by looking at that?
The y-intercept is negative 3.
Yep.
The slope is negative. Is negative 2.
Yes. The slope is m, negative 1/4. So the slope is negative 1/4, and the y-intercept is negative 3. That's the b. So that means I begin at negative 3 on the y-axis, and what do I do from there?
Go up 1.
No,
Down 1.
down because it's negative, and what direction do I go to the right? 4 to the right. You always run to the right, right? So from negative 3, I'm going to go down 1 to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1 over, oh no, I don't have enough space, so I can go in the other direction just to extend my line. But see, look, that's what happens if I try to connect the dots with just 2. It's crooked. But if you did it like that, it would be fine. You go down 1 to the right 4. a fraction. The slope is rise over run. If it's positive, you're going to go up. If it's negative, you're going to go down. But you will always run to the right. And if you have a whole number, such as 2, you must remember that the denominator is 1, meaning you go up 2 to the right 1. For example, what is the name of the equation? Y equals mx plus b? Are vocabulary questions that are slope-intercept form. Remember, that's the name of the equation. Slope-intercept form. Think of it as m is the slope, it's the first thing. B is the intercept, it's the second thing. So it's slope-intercept. So if I asked you what is the slope-intercept form, you would just write y equals mx plus b. What does m represent in the equation y equals mx plus b? Slope. What does b represent? Y-intercept. Make sure you remember it's y-intercept. Because if you just write intercept, it could either be x or y-intercept, and that would not be completely correct. So it's the y-intercept. If given 2 points, how do I find the slope?
Y2 minus Y1 over
That's basically what it's asking you for, the slope formula. If given 2 points, you subtract your y's, that's your numerator, and you subtract your x's, that's your denominator. Now, number 10, 10a is actually extra credit because it asks you to convert that into y equals mx plus b. So let's do letter B first. If I said, what is the slope and the y-intercept of y equals 6x minus 2, what is the slope?
6.
We're looking at letter B.
Oh.
The slope is 6 because this is written in y equals mx plus b, so m is 6. What is the y-intercept?
-2.
-2. That's it.
That's it.
All it's asking for is the m and the b, and you just need to literally look at it and see who's who.
That's extra credit.
Letter A is extra credit because it is currently not written in y equals mx plus b. If you notice the equation, the 4x is on the wrong side. So even though this one is extra credit, I'm going to go over it with you just so that you could see how it works. If I wanted to write it in y equals mx plus b format, I would have to minus 4x to bring it to the other side of the equation. That would leave me negative y is equal to negative 4x plus 8. But I don't want the equation y, negative y, I want y. So I just multiply everything by -1 and it changes everybody's sign. So now I get y equals 4x minus 8. So m is 4 and b is -8.